My name is Matthias Lilienthal und ich möchte Sie begrüßen zur letzten Sitzung vom Hasenkomplex, einer Reihe, die sich anhand von Joseph Beuys Gespräche mit bildenden Künstlern installiert hat. In dieser Runde sind wir mal nicht Berlin-Berlin oder Berlin-Düsseldorf, sondern wir sind Düsseldorf-Beirut. I want to give a very warm welcome to Rabih Mroué.
Danke.
Rabih, du bist gerade in Beirut?
Ja, ich bin jetzt in Beirut. Ja.
Wie ist das Wetter und hast du Elektrizität?
Keine Elektrizität. Das Wetter ist so heiß in allen Bedeutungen, besonders in Politik und Wirtschaft. Ja, das tägliche Leben ist so hart. Für mich ist es nicht leicht, das auf Deutsch zu erklären, weil mein Deutsch ist so schlecht ist. Aber
your German is excellent. And,
kein.
And the electricity in your apartment and for the computer is coming from where?
Yeah, it's private. It's private generator, and this is like everything in Libanon is almost private. The government and the state is like doing nothing, as if it does not exist and doesn't care for the people and for their daily life. So people have to find their basics needs like electricity, water, the fuel for their cars, the fuel for the private generators, medicines, a lot of things that are really does not exist anymore, or they are here but rare. It's you cannot find them easily. The living is really very difficult and very harsh and almost violent. Not almost, it's violent.
But you said you are happy that you are for some weeks back in Lebanon.
I've been
violent.
I've been since like 1 year and a half. I did not have the chance to come and visit Lebanon. Main reason was the COVID. So I had to come, and I'm so happy in the sense that happy to see my family, my friends, and to be in a physical contact with Lebanon and with the city, mainly Beirut, my city. In this sense, I'm happy, but you can feel like how the country is broken, sad, and we have there's a lack of energy in a way, and you see the people are in a way hopeless from this government and from those politicians and from the whole world as well, to be honest.
You are an artist, are you born directly in Beirut or you are directly born in Beirut or raised in Beirut, and you have studied at the university to be an actor?
Right. I born in Beirut, and I lived in Beirut, and I studied theater in Beirut. I lived almost my entire life in Beirut until I moved to Berlin, which is since 8 years. But before, I've been all my life in Beirut. Maybe I left for 1 year just after my graduation to Paris, and I came back. But my entire life was in Beirut, mainly.
And you are in Germany very well known as a visual artist. And you did a lot of performance work in different production houses, like the How, like Kampnagel, like Museum Frankfurt, like Leipzig. How has been your start in your professional career as an actor? The normal theater in Beirut is normally very influenced by the French theater, and it's quite conventional. We both met together the first time around the production of 3 posters. How did you move from this from the practice of being an actor then to become a director and to develop your own aesthetics?
We've met in 2001, 2002 with this production, 3 posters, this theater performance. But before, like in 1990, I started producing my own theater works in Beirut. And after a few years of doing regularly, every year, 1 production or 2, I was a little bit bored and upset of what I'm doing, and actually from what I'm watching as well from other colleagues. So I stopped for 2 years, just like to re-question myself, to ask again why I'm doing theater, what is theater, how we do theater today, mainly how we deal with our modern history, which is the Civil War that was just ended in 1990, the fightings, how we can deal with these topics, with this very complex topics in art and in theater. And this is was the shifting point when I started to change and to revolt, to do my own revolution against what I was doing and what I've been taught and got from the university and from my teachers and from my directors who I worked with. And I remember in 1989, I did a work with my friend Tony Shakar. It was called Enter, Sir, We Are Waiting for You Outside. And in this piece, actually, I put all my anger in this piece, anger about theater that I don't want to do anymore. Or the things that I'm not allowed to do in theater, I did them in this piece. It's just I was revolting. And it was shocking. It was shocking for my colleagues, for my audience, and for a lot of people. And my aim was to provoke them, also to provoke myself, in order to open a discussion about what is theater and how we do theater today. So what was your question, Matthias?
What was your anger on the normal theater which you have seen at that time?
For example, that every piece, every work, you have to prove that you are talented, that you have new ideas, visual ideas. You have to prove that you are a good actor. You have to do a lot of visual things in order to make the audience surprised and astonished, to make them happy, to entertain them, etc. So I was I don't want anymore to prove myself. I want to talk about very important things, ideas, doubts, to share things with the audience. I'm not anymore obliged to prove anything to my audience. I don't want to be in this position. So this is, for example, was the click that made me shift from everything, that I don't want anymore to prove anything to the audience. I don't care if they will say I'm talented or not. I had a lot of articles from my previous works saying that I'm really talented. So I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to show it anymore. I don't want to prove it anymore. So for example, in this work, I decided that we should use microphones instead of using our voice. And at that time, the microphone in theater was not common as today. There's not the small one. It was like really big microphone you have to hold, like in a theater piece. So we were whispering, we were giving our backs, we were wearing our own clothes, not the costumes. We were using our own names, not like fictional names. We were not doing acrobacy or like physical things. We were like relaxed. We don't move a lot. We were lazy. Everything that was not good to do in theater, in that theater, I did.
Okay. Three posters was then a production which you have been writing together with Elias Khoury,
right?
One of the big intellectuals of Lebanon,
right?
And this is based on the story of someone who did an assault. And
not an assault. Excuse me.
Correct me.
No. He is a member of the resistance against the occupation of the Israeli army in Lebanon. So he was a member of the National Resistance Front, and he is a communist. And he actually committed a suicidal operation against the army. So it was not assault, it was like an attack. And he killed himself for the sake of liberating the land and liberating the land from the Israeli army, which was really oppressing and torturing and imprisoning our people in the south, mainly in the south of Lebanon, but or in Lebanon. They were occupying Lebanon for many, many years, the army. And his operation was against the soldiers, the army, the occupied army, not against civilian people.
And he recorded a video,
right?
And your production deconstructed this video, and he on the VHS cassette there are three different versions of his speech, and you in one scene you hear only the sound, in another you see only the picture, and in one scene you are performing his speech. And in this deconstruction, all the ideology which is in the video is falling apart.
Right. It was like by coincidence that we found this video where it shows the different takes and the preparation for his last testimony before going to kill himself. And it was shocking because we never watched like these takes. We only watched the final take, the final cut. And we didn't know about this. Like, we didn't know that they do like a kind of rehearsal or like try out or whatever. So this actually immediately changed our thoughts, which was like, in a way, taking it for granted that like those people are heroes. But then suddenly you see them like they are not heroes, they are human beings like you. And they have like a personal history and personal stories. And this is like something very human and very, very emotional in this sense. Like when you see someone you consider as a hero become like a human being as you. we were like in this work trying to criticize the ideology of killing. Someone kills himself or herself, because there were a lot also of females members in the resistance from secular and communist parties who also killed themselves to liberate the land. So we were against this suicidal operation, and we were trying to analyze it and deconstruct this ideology and this praise of martyrdom. Like, we are not against the resistance if it's against an army, like to liberate an army, especially the Israeli army, or like the Syrian army later, or whatever, army that occupied your land and like really treating your people in a bad and in a violent way. So you have the right to resist, but to go and kill yourself or those responsible accept to send people, young people, to kill themselves, this is unacceptable. And we consider this as a crime. So in this sense, we were discussing this, we were analyzing this, deconstructing the martyr and the martyrdom discourse in the communist and secular parties and in Lebanon in general, and maybe in the region as well.
And it is also a kind of a reflection of the quality of pictures, which are
sure,
giving people from their own life, and you have been at that time. There was a discussing circle of Tony Shakar, of Akram Satari, of Walid Raad, of you, and there was a culture of discussion which has been busy with the memory of the civil wars and
right.
how you can in your art deal with it. Or?
Yeah, this was like these meetings was like for a few years, regularly every Tuesday meeting, and it was like the main members was Bilal Khbez and Walid Sadiq, in addition to the names that you mentioned. But there were like a lot of people coming and in and going out. But like the main core was like Bilal, Walid, Tony, me, Marwan Rishmawi, and others. Like there were Lamia, there were like Khalil Jurej and Joanna Haji Thomas, Lina Majdalanie, Ghassan Salhab, and many others. We were like a big group, and at the same time we were not a group. We were insisting that we are individuals, just meeting to discuss different topics in politics and arts and in culture and in sociology as well, and philosophy. And it went for many years, and this is like really was very important for us to develop each one in her and his own ways, the career and the ideas that each one was working on.
I have asked you to perhaps show 2 little videos.
Right.
You sent me 2 videos. You never want to show videos of your performance work in the internet publicly. But this 2 excerpts are possible, and Old House. And today, when I was seeing it the first time, I did a mistake, and I heard it as first only as a soundtrack without seeing the picture. And you hear your commentary only, then it's a perfect description of the Rabih Mroué method. And I would love to see now the video with picture and with sound, and perhaps we can discuss it a little bit afterwards.
I'm not telling in order to remember. On the contrary, I'm doing so to make sure that I've forgotten, or at least to make sure that I've forgotten some things, that they were erased from my memory. When I'm certain that I've forgotten, I attempt to remember what it is that I've forgotten. And while attempting, I start guessing and saying, perhaps, maybe, it's possible. I'm not sure, but it seems that, probably, etc. This way, I reinvent what I had forgotten on the basis that I've, in fact, remembered it. After an indefinite while, I retell it, not to remember it, no, but to make sure that I've forgotten it, or at least parts of it, and so on, so forth. This operation might appear repetitive, but it's the contrary, because it's a refusal to go back to the beginnings. And what know we of beginnings? This way, I keep oscillating between remembering and forgetting, remembering and forgetting, remembering and forgetting till death comes. I'm betting on death to make me rediscover everything anew.
What you can see in this video is this house, which is in demolition.
Right.
And probably it is damaged in the civil wars, and now it's demolished totally. And you're talking all the time about the necessity of memory. And memory has to be done every time new, and that there is no right memory or no wrong memory, and it is always a work which has to be done new in the sense of Walter Benjamin.
Yeah. It's nice reading. It's and I agree on it. And what is like important in the image itself is that this house was in a way partially but severely destroyed by the Civil War. And then when the war ended, this private company that took the city center to reconstruct the old town, the city center, Solidaire. So they destroyed it. They put dynamite and destroyed it. So this is the picture when they actually demolished it completely. So between the Civil War and the Solidaire is like, this is the remembering and forgetting, about this war. And it was like a discourse, very hot discourse and discussion at that time about what to remember and what not to remember. And I did this piece, it's an old piece. It's just like to say, like, because there was like a very strong discourse, like we should remember. And for me, it was like this question, okay, what we remember? And when you say we should remember, it's like as if we have to remember collectively. And to remember collectively, it means that you are allowed to remember certain things and you are not allowed to remember other certain things, because sometimes there are things that you remember that contradict the collective, and this will be cut. So the process of remembering is a very complex thing, and it is related and dialectically connected to forgetting. So forgetting and remembering is like two things. They are not a dichotomy. And this was the discourse, how it was dealing with this issue. It was taking it as if they are black and white, good and evil, where like sometimes we need to forget and sometimes we need to remember. And anyway, it's impossible to remember everything. And anyway, when you remember, you invent things. And when you forget, you forget certain things, and then you fill the gap of what you forgot with things that are maybe fictional or imagination. Your imagination put them. And this is actually how fiction and real, the facts and the fiction intermingle together. And then it's not a question about like lying or not lying. It's not about fiction or non-fiction. It's about a reality of this narrative and what this narrative is telling us. And this is very important. And this is, in a way, I was like trying also to tell in this video, which maybe I talk a lot about it, but this is the aim.
No, but it's totally interesting, and of course, we did a lot of have been producing some theater productions together,
right?
And in the mainly in the Hau in Berlin and in the Kammerspiel in Munich. And if I try to memorize it, then Who's Afraid About Representation was a kind of excellent production. And I think the discussion started in that time with Bettina Masoch about the question about traumatized bodies.
Right.
And what we have been seeing on stage was Lina Majdalanie and you, and you try to improve different artistic strategies, like Marina Abramovic, like Chris Burden,
Joseph Beuys, like Joseph Beuys as well.
Yeah, like Joseph Beuys. What was from Joseph Beuys in it? I forgot this.
It was I Like America and America Likes Me.
Okay. And did you see this Beuys performance in the preparation of the work?
Of course, I've seen like excerpts from it, and I've read about it. But also, like, the idea was like what you can grasp from the descriptions that you find in books and from photos, especially those books that put different artists that they were dealing with their bodies, like Marina Abramovic and Joseph Beuys and Chris Burden and Gina Payne and other body artists, put them all in one basket, in one box, because they were dealing with what is called the body and the violence on the body. Where, like, the idea is that what I was trying to say, like those artists, you cannot put them together, even if they are dealing with their bodies, because like there were a lot of criticizing. One is not with the other. Like, it's not enough that they are using their bodies in their performances to put them together in one box, in one category. So this is one of the ideas. For example, like you cannot put Hermann Nietzsche with the French artist Orlan. They are like completely different conceptually. The process, how they deal with the body, completely different. And for all the artists. And I was like trying to provoke, like putting all them together, because it is a book. We were using the book. And at the same time, I was trying to, in a way, distinguish one from the other. And the third part in this piece, Who's Afraid of Representation, I was trying to appropriate those works and change the political background and use the political background of my history.
Yeah.
So I was like reading them from the political background of my history, as if those works were done in response to my history, in the region, in Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, etc. In this part of. So this was like a kind of appropriation of the works and trying to read them in a different way. And for me, it was like very interesting manner to also activate them in the Benjaminian way.
And I remember only that I saw the production in the opening in Berlin, and you are telling on one place also about violence in Lebanon and about how the circumstances are, and then someone is saying he was misbehaving out of the reason of the civil wars. But at that time, the civil wars was already 15 years over.
Right.
And of course, the European audience was thinking about, is it right or is it not right? And I saw then the same performance with 500 people in Lebanon, and everybody was laughing about the bad excuse. So it's of course your art is in the reception. And the reception is sometimes a different way in the Middle East, and by than it was by its first showing up in Berlin.
Yeah,
and also for the last 10 years, you are living partly in Berlin and partly in Lebanon. How is this switching between Lebanon and Germany influencing your work, and from which experience are your artworks now triggered?
Actually, when I started to present my work internationally, mainly in European cities, I was still based and I still was still living in Beirut. But I started to travel a lot, and I start to have like a lot of contacts with theater makers, with artists from outside Lebanon, and maybe also outside from the Arab world. And this was really very, very enriching for me to build like another kind of a dialogue or discussion or a conversation with artists from Europe or from even from America or whatever, and to talk about issues that are not really related directly to politics. Because in Lebanon, politics was really in the first ground, and then the aesthetic and the artistic matters comes later. So when I started to travel, the aesthetic choices and the artistic practices comes first, and then the politics, or they come together. And this is something was new for me, and it was really very, very enriching, like something that gave me a lot, because I was hungry in a way to discuss how we do theater, what form of theater, why I'm choosing this form of theater. And I was like, not really, I was like in a way fed up of discussing the political aspect, like the politics, not the political, the politics, or what I'm doing, or what is my position. So now I'm discussing with artists and with theater makers about the choices. And it was really good, like to meet with a lot of theater makers and artists that, in a way, there are like common points in how I'm doing theater or how I understand theater, which was really great.
In the end of the time at the HAU Berlin, in my directorship, we did a word exhibition on the airport of Tempelhof.
Right.
And you developed a work which is a little bit like a flipboard. And it was called Double Shooting, and it was based on a video out of the Syrian civil war, and it showed that one man with a camera recorded how another man with a real gun tried to shoot to him. And then he was wounded, and you have the real shooting and the shooting via the camera, and that installation at the airport was done by I don't remember how many pictures, 128 or something like that.
Yeah, something like this. Yeah.
And they have been exposed on big boards, and the audience was moving on a walk through this installation, and have been. And that was a little bit like you normally are watching a movie, but the spectator has also an active role, and so he was in a way the third person, which was interactive, participating,
right?
And for you, it was important not to use the real footage and to re-record the original video, and then producing the posters from that reshooting or reenactment of the real scene. Which kind of role played in this installation the aesthetic form of the flipboard, or are you dealing in your performance art in a total different way than in your visual artwork with this kind of form?
This was like... I remember that this work, we did it in the Tempelhof in Berlin in 2012. And it was almost in the same period with Documenta in Kassel, Documenta 12, where like I also was showing other works related to the same topic, but was completely different work. But it was like, as if it was like a continuation of the exhibition in the works that I'm showing in Kassel and Documenta. It was in the Tempelhof, and the idea, as you mentioned it, is this eye contact between the killer and the victim. The victim is with the mobile phone, but we don't see the victim because he is shooting. We see only the killer, and the killer is looking. At some point, he looks directly to the lens, which is the mobile phone. So he sees the victim with his mobile phone. He see and then took and shoot, and then the camera falls down, something like this. So the issue is that we don't see the victim. The victim is always off camera. And we don't see blood, we don't see anything. So all this violence and the killing is happening outside the frame, outside the camera. And I wanted to show this, to work on this, and at the same time, like just to show the video that you can find on YouTube, which was uploaded by Syrian protesters, was not enough for me because it's easy. And I wanted actually to make the spectators engaged physically with this. So I reenacted one of the videos by the sniper, and I put it as a sequence on boards. And then the visitors has to run in order to watch the video, because by running, you will put these still photos, the sequence of photos in movement. So it's like a cinema, huh?
Yeah.
So the idea is that they have to run, and you remember, like we put something on the floor. When they step on it, it makes a sound like. And it's on the moment where in the pictures there is the fire coming out from the rifle, from the gun of the sniper, and of course because the spectators are like walking fast or running and just looking to the photos, they don't look to the floor. So when they come to this step there, it really makes them like shocked. It gives them a shock, as if really the sniper got them. So this was my attempt at how to make the spectator engage physically and to feel a little bit and to think about this relation with the sniper, to be in a way behind the mobile phone, but in a different way, like to activate the video by running physically, and to feel this shock when the bullet goes. And then when they go back, because like the tunnel that we created in Tempelhof, it was like 40 meters long. They have to go back, but they go back slowly, because on the other side of each panel, there is a text written by protesters in Syria, and I wrote them again. It's about how to shoot a demonstration in a secure manner. So they have to go slowly, reading slowly, and then they have to run, and then it's slowly. Voilà.
Is this artwork still stored, or is it?
Not really. I have some photos. Maybe we can show them a little bit. We can put them. I can share my screen. Yeah. Can I share my screen?
Armon, can you do
Yes,
that?
we can try it.
Yeah, maybe just like no, it says that I cannot. Okay, it's not a problem. They are.
Yes. Now on our work about the festival, This Is Not Libanon.
Okay.
Which will happen from the 26th of August to the 11th of September in Frankfurt Museumturm.
Yeah.
And part of that festival will go to Lebanon between the 13th and the 17th of October.
Mm-hmm.
You are curating in this festival a discursive program, and in the discursive program there was for me a kind of real discovering about the internet platform of Megaphone. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Megaphone is an online newspaper, news online, but it is it created like a kind of a new language in both in writing and in the visual and in the design, how to deal. And it's very fresh language, and it talks with today, with the new technologies and with the new generation. And it was a very successful experience, and it's still going on. And they started before what we call the revolution in 2019, October. They started before, but during the revolution, they have like really a very strong coverage, and they found like a kind of a structure of how to write an article, like the number of words, how to write the sentences, how to do videos as well, how to use the text with the videos. It's really very, very interesting, and it was very new experience in the media and in journalism. So I thought it's really good to invite them in order that they reflect and share with us this experience and to know more, and maybe to discuss with them, not only to know more, and to let them also think about it in publicly with us.
And I have seen some little translations via Google, and sometimes the text seemed to be very poetic by criticizing the circumstances in Lebanon, and to 90% the website is only in Arabic.
Yes, because it is addressed to the Lebanese mainly. It's not addressed to outside of Lebanon, and it deals precisely with the daily politics in Lebanon. It's sometimes, yes, you're right, it's very poetic, but also one of the characteristics, and this is very important, is like how to tell an idea, or like something to say, how to summarize it with a sentence, with one sentence or two sentences, just like highlighted and poof, give it to your readers. And this was like really very important, just like to go to the essence of what you want to say, like eliminate a lot of things, go to what you want, like it's like a punch, go for it. So it's like this is something was new in journalism, at least in Lebanon, and in what we have experienced before in the Arab media as well, and for I don't know internationally, but at least in the Arab world.
And also the program is a little bit dealing with the subject of exile, and also it was your suggestion to name the festival. This is not Lebanon, and you wanted to express with it that you are sometimes feeling yourself inside of the country foreign or exiled. And what are you meaning with the subject of an exile in the context of the festival?
No, the participants that I invited, they are like artists and writers. They will talk about mainly Lebanon from different angles and from different topics, very completely topics, and from different periods of time. So one of them is the topic of exile, and it will be with Suhaib Ayoub and Fadi Abdallah. Suhaib Ayoub is a writer, novelist, and at the same time journalist. He's from Tripoli, Lebanon. And Fadi Abdallah is a lawyer and artist, musician, and writer and poet, also from Tripoli, Lebanon, and he lives in Netherlands, in La Haye, work in the international court there. And Suhaib, he is in exile as a political protected, I don't know, in Paris, in France. So I thought that it's very good to that I invite them to think about the meaning of exile, because I think like for someone like Suhaib, he examined being exiled before he left Lebanon. And this is like very interesting. Also, like how he is exiled in the language itself. It's not about leaving the country. It's like the language itself. It's the exile of the writer, of the intellectual. So the meaning of exile, I think it will be from different angles, and it's not in this first degree meaning that someone leaving the country, because there are Lebanese inside Lebanon now feeling as if they are in exile inside their country. And I know a lot of Lebanese who left the country but still live in Europe or wherever as if they are still living in Lebanon. So it's like the idea of exile is something very flexible, very, like you can interpret it, you can read it from different angles, from different experience and from different point of view. But in this program that I curated is that there are like different topics, as I said, like for example, Lamia Jrej, she will talk about the Lebanon during the Ottoman Empire, at the end of the Ottoman Empire in the First World War, World War I, and it was the beginning of the existence of Lebanon. Lebanon officially declared in 1920 by General Gouraud, the French general, and it was in 1943 when it was declared as a republic, Lebanese Republic, and we got the independence. But it means that in the World War I, it was like the beginning of Lebanon. And she will be with Ghada Sayegh. She's an education teacher in the university, in videos and art. She will talk about the explosion of the port Beirut in 2020 for August, the 4th of August. So this symbolically, this explosion, it was like as if it was like the ending of the idea of Lebanon, the end of the idea of Lebanon. So in this panel, there we have Lamia talking about the beginning of the idea of Lebanon, and Ghada will talk about the end of this idea of Lebanon from two symbolical aspects. And there are different topics and aspects. For example, Tariq Aris and Rana Isa will talk about the revolution in 2019 and the role of the queer groups during this revolution. Also, very, very like great artists and writers will be with us, like also Nasser Tufar, who is a rapper from Baalbek. He will talk about the rap, and he will do a concert with Hello Psycho Aleppo. He's a Syrian electronic musician. Very, very, I find his music really great. And they work together. So they will give a lecture about the role and their doubts, what the role of music and rap could do in political crisis, in wars, etc. And there are like really Khalil and Shuwanna, Hajitoma, and other friends will participate in this program.
And there will be 4 productions from a younger generation, like a very interesting photographer, which is called Rida.
Yeah. Rida Hashisho and Ali Ayad and Lawrence Abu Hamdan and Marwa Arsanius will have like an installation with a kind of performance, right?
Yes.
And this is your program. You created this program.
All
it's
the
like I'm happy.
Creating Anna Wagner, you and me together.
And Anna Wagner,
With the help of Christine Thomé from Ashkal Alwan. And I'm very happy about that. And you yourself will do a lecture performance in the program, and it will happen in the Mosangturm and in the Sommerbau Frankfurt and in the Frankfurt Lab.
Right.
We don't know where and when we are doing the next production together, but
I hope soon we'll do one.
And I thank you very much for the interesting talk, and I wanted to thank the Kunstsammlung NRW, Susanne Gensheimer and Isabel Malz, and I want to thank you also Wolfgang Tillmanns, Milo Rau, Anta Helena Recke, and Rabih Mroué. And this is the last talk in the row accompanying the Joseph Beuys show, and I thank the audience, and thanks a lot, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.